and we're still laughing and drinking and cutting up, I might have 3 beers. Well, now, Jeff's getting happy, and all it takes is somebody in a low-cut dress that smells good sitting down next to me, and I'm going to start flirting with her, and I'm in a really precarious situation where I can do the same thing that my dad did. And so I'm like, be wise. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to be vulnerable. Because if you break that thing at home, you can glue it back together, but it's never the same. It's never going to be the same. So be wise and don't if your thing is alcohol, don't go out to the bar. It's going to get you in trouble. Be honest with yourself. All of us have weak spots. All of us have blind spots. But be wise enough to avoid those spots. Because here's what happens. Trust, and you know this with your friends, trust is built, it's like a cup of coffee. You build trust one drop at a time. When you meet somebody, you don't know nothing about them, you have no trust. And then you'll go out and you'll do something together and you go, I really like that dude. And you got a couple of drops of trust in there. And then over the months and over the years, that cup fills up one drop at a time and it's full. But when you break trust, it's like breaking the bottom out of that coffee cup. You don't lose it a drop at a time, you lose it all at once. And when you lose it, it never comes back the way it was before. And so for me, yeah, I like a pretty girl, but I didn't want my kids to look at me that way. I didn't want my kids to look at me the way I would look at my dad when he was on marriage number 4, and we'd go out to eat somewhere, and he'd start flirting with the waitress, and I'm like, holy crap, here we go again. Because he may end up leaving me at the restaurant and leaving with her. He was good. He was really good. But I didn't trust, and I didn't want my kids to ever feel that way about me. I really think we all want to find what our purpose is, because, it's either one way or the other. We're either, for the people that don't have faith, we're a total accident. And so you believe a body that has a heart that beats billions of times and lungs that breathe and a reproductive system that works is a total fluke. It's a total accident. Well, the chances of that being a total accident, you got a better opportunity of dropping all the parts to a 747 down a flight of stairs, and at the bottom they all come together and they're sealed right, and the plane is fully functional. Which one's more out there? People say to me, well, people of faith are closed-minded. I said, no, you're closed-minded. This makes much more sense than what the hell you believe. I believe there's a creator. And if we're created, we were created with a purpose. It's not just an accident that we're here. I believe every single guy in this room, God looks at him and goes, check this out. Alex right here, that's my masterpiece. I've never made but one Alex before. If God had a refrigerator, your picture would be on the front of it. He's that proud of you. And for you guys that don't know who God is, I think the most incredible piece of literature ever written is Luke 15. It's about 2 paragraphs. It's this big. It's the most incredible piece of literature ever written. And it's right before they killed Jesus and crucified him. But it's the story of the Prodigal Son. And Jesus tells this right before he dies. So, probably like deathbed confessions, he's probably spewing out stuff that's really important right before he dies. And he tells the story of a father that had 2 sons. And the youngest son comes to the dad and he says, I want my inheritance now. Well, in the Eastern culture, what he was actually saying is, you're not dying fast enough to suit me. I wish you were dead. I want what's coming to me now. Can you imagine that? A father with your kid going, you're not dying fast enough for me? And so the father gives him his inheritance, and the kid goes out and blows it all on whatever, booze, drugs, women, blows through it all to the point that he's got nothing left. He ends up working for somebody, feeding pea pods to their hogs. And he's watching the pigs eat this, and he goes, crap, I'm so hungry and so broke. I wish I could eat what I'm feeding the pigs. And so he swallows his pride, and he says, you know what, I know that the way the servants on my dad's farm eat. I'm going to swallow my pride. I'm going to go back and tell my dad I screwed up and just see if he'll give me a job working on his place. So the kid turns around and goes to come home. And my favorite line in the thing, it says, and while he was still a long way away, his father saw him. Well, you don't see somebody a long way away unless you're looking for them. Which meant after the kid had said, you're not dying fast enough, the dad's standing out there every day just looking on the horizon. Every day waiting on that kid to come back. And when he saw him, he went running to him. And he told his servants, he said, go get the robe, the sandals, and the family ring, and kill the fatted calf, because my son that was dead is alive. He's come back. And gave him the family name back, the family ring, the sandals. The only people that could wear those were people within the family. Servants didn't wear shoes. And the older brother, who had stayed home through the whole thing, got pissed. And he's like, are you kidding me? He said, I've stayed here and I've done everything Dad asked me to do. And my brother takes his inheritance and goes and squanders it all away, pisses it all away. And now he comes back, and we're going to have a feast and a festival and a celebration because he's decided to come back. Do you know who was anybody, I don't know, Bible scholars, do you know who was most upset to see that young? Might be an uncle, might be a grandfather. You know, I was lucky. I had a really good grandfather. Never told me he loved me, but I know he did because he took me everywhere he went after my dad left. But you look at the men in your life that you go, that's the kind of man I want to be. And I will be willing to bet you every single one of them was not a self-focused person. I bet every single one of them was others focused. They didn't think about what they wanted. They thought about what other people needed. I grew up in Hateville down by the airport. I was really lucky. That was the only Chick-fil-A in the world for decades. Had no idea it would become the phenomenon it was. But I was lucky to grow up around Truett, Cathy, who started Chick-fil-A. And Truett was one of the wisest men I ever met. And he used to ask me when I was a little kid, he would look at me and he'd go, Jeff, you know how to tell when somebody needs encouragement? I say, no, sir. He goes, if they're breathing. He goes, everybody needs encouragement. It doesn't cost you anything to give it to them. No schooling, no money. And so I learned at an early age, be an encourager. You walk into a place and the homely little girl running the cash registers there go, oh, I love your hair. That's so pretty. Doesn't cost you a thing, made her day. Made her day that somebody saw her, that somebody noticed. And so my whole life, I'm like, crap, Mr. Cathy, that's a great thing. And what it does is it teaches you to see the good in things instead of the bad in things. You know, being a mental guy, when I get up in the morning, I pray two things to God. I'm like, A, let me put on the slippers of gratitude. Let me not take for granted that I have something to eat, that I got a house, that I got a bed, that I got a car. 5% of the people in the world own a car. If you own a car, you're in the top 5% of the world. Something like 11 billion people will never take a hot shower one day in their life. If you took a hot shower today, you beat those 11 billion people. And so you start looking at those blessings. You know, you start looking at a holly bush and go, why the holly bush had red berries? And God goes, I just did it because I thought you'd like it. They look real good against the green. Did that for you. And you start seeing blessings everywhere. That's what being an encourager does. You start seeing the good all around you and just realize just how lucky we are. We had no control over where we were going to be born. We had no control over what the color of our skin was going to be. We had no control over who our parents were going to be. But the fact that we live in this country and we're able to go out tonight and assemble and actually talk about the Creator, there's so many places in the world you can't do that. So we're blessed. We're really blessed. Let me see. Mark Twain was really cool. He was funny, but he was really smart. Mark Twain said the two most important days in your life, the first one is the day you were born. And the second one is the day you figure out why. And to me, that's why you're here tonight, man. And I want you to be men of excellence. I want you to be men that when you die, people are sitting there with tears going, dang, that was a good dude. That dude loved on and took care of so many people, because it's not about us. And I will tell you this about your kids. Man, your kids watch everything you do. Your kids watch the way you treat your wife. And I don't care if you got sons or daughters. One of the greatest things in the world you can do for your kids is to love on their mom. Because if you got sons, you're going to teach them this is the way you treat a woman. If you have daughters, you're going to teach them this is what to expect from a man. One of the greatest things in the world you can do for your kids is love on your wife. You treat her with respect. You love on her. I've been married 38 years, and half the time there are grocery store flowers, but I bought her flowers every single week for 38 years. Because I didn't want to end up like my dad there. So I've talked long enough. Be authentic, guys. When you leave here, pick 5 guys, pick 6 guys you like, and say, hey, let's commit to this. Because the reason your wife gave you a kitchen pass tonight is she has hopes that you're going to become a better man. Not that you're not a good man already, but you can be a better man. I can be a better man tomorrow. But that's what she wants. And I want that to be what you want. So I'm going to open it up to questions, and I'll answer anything. I'll be authentic with you. But that's why I'm here. I'm not getting paid. I left my wife tonight. We're watching a really good series on Netflix. But I have been so blessed that I'm like, man, I've been so lucky and blessed in my life. I want this. I want other guys to have this. Stop. So I open it up for questions. Anybody? Yes, sir.
So I have twin daughters. What's something you've done to
Oh, ask it in the mic.
Thanks. I have twin daughters too. You have all daughters?
Yeah.
What's something you've done to instill your faith in them? Maybe any traditions or things that you've done to teach them on the way?
You know, here's the weird thing with kids. They're stinking smart. And it was real funny. Like, my life led me doing things that I never envisioned me doing. For decades, I worked with kids with cancer. My wife and I were the head fundraising people for the Duke Children's Hospital, and I did a ton of things with St. Jude's, and just love working with kids with cancer. There's somewhere in here that makes me want to squeal. So I got invited one day. A guy invited me down to the Atlanta Mission. Well, I'd never been homeless. I never cared about homeless people. That's nasty. That's honest. My care of homeless people was if you came up to my car at the stop sign, here's $5, please go away. And I had a guy invite me to lunch at the Atlanta Mission. The first kid I met down there, 21 years old, in the heart of Atlanta, living at the Atlanta Mission. My first thought, if we're going to be authentic, is get out of here. You're 21 years old, you're healthy, get a job. His name was Jason. Of course, being a comic and a writer, I want to know everybody's story. I said, Jason, what's your story? Why in the hell are you in a homeless mission? He said, well, it was my mom and dad and me and my brother, and when I was 11, my mom killed herself. He said, 2 years after that, my brother killed himself.